Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting reaction from Donald Trump's joint address last night. It was his first address within his second term, and it was very successful. And we're going to go through the polls. We're going to go through what Trump talked about, what he didn't talk about. My initial reaction of the address was that it was mainly focused on highlighting others and honoring others. That's kind of the vibe I got from it. He did call out Democrats, but he was very nice. It was nothing anything crazy. I mean, it was a partisan speech. That's what it is. It's basically a State of the Union. It's a propaganda thing where Trump goes for about an hour and a half, which is what he did, and he talks about the achievements of his administration within the first, at this point, like 43, 44 days. But this was a very popular overall speech that got about a 75% approval rating. That's Republicans, Democrats, Independents, according to both CBS and CNN. That's their instant reaction polls. They're saying they approve of it, and then you can see all of these different things. This is CBS talking after Trump's speech. 77% support. The plan to cut government waste and spending. 77% support. To back his immigration and border policies. 76% approve of Trump's speech in general that he gave last night. 76% approve of removing the congressman that would be Al Green, who interrupted, and that was planned. It's just such a waste of time, really. You're not doing anything. Did you see him beginning interviews outside the chamber? He's like, oh, I'll accept any punishment I get. Dude, you're not even going to get punished. It's just a waste. It's just, and then he's like, we're going to impeach him now. So they're going to try and impeach Trump 25 times with no congressional power. That's the typical thing that they tried doing a lot of that in his first term. 74% say his speech was presidential. 73% support his state. That's crazy. 73% support his stance on Russia and Ukraine. You've got all these people out there protesting for Ukraine. Yet 73%, and it's not all Americans, it's just a poll. I mean, this feels like a more Republican poll, honestly. 73%. But it just goes to show you, people want this war to be over. And there's all these people protesting, we're with Ukraine. It's just, that's not the common opinion. People know there's give and take. You have to be cordial with both Russia and Ukraine if you are going to mediate a resolution to this war and a ceasefire and a peace deal. 68% say it made them feel proud and hopeful. 68% says he has a clear plan to tackle inflation. And you can see some other stuff right there. But this is just the overall. Look at this. 80% say Al Green's behavior was inappropriate. It's just a waste of time. Just a total waste of time. Instant reaction to Trump's speech. 76% approve. That's CBS. 69% approve. That's CNN. Very, very good numbers. That's Republicans, Democrats, Independents. Very good night for Donald Trump. Will it really move the needle a ton in terms of approval rating? It wasn't even really a State of the Union, so. But listen, it's good. This is good momentum for Trump. And then we are going to go through and just talk about the things that Trump mentioned. So yeah, crypto, Bitcoin, they're saying it's in review. He really didn't talk about crypto. We were hoping to get a huge whopper and Trump to announce the zero capital gains tax on crypto. Maybe that's coming on Friday at the crypto summit. We'll see. Trump did not mention NATO. Surprising. Very surprising. There seemed like very little talk with the Canadian situation and the tariffs going on them, along with just NATO in general. And honestly, even the Zelensky thing, where he did talk about Zelensky telling him earlier in the day that he basically apologizes and that he didn't like how the situation was handled in DC and he wants to do the minerals deal with Trump. So Trump did say that. He read off what Zelensky tweeted out earlier yesterday. He didn't mention Epstein. It was unlikely he was going to because the Trump administration has not had a good favorability when it comes to the Epstein files. And the only thing you could say is, well, maybe Trump would say, we've got more files and they're coming out to reassure people. But it's not surprising he didn't mention them. Ukraine, he talked about the potential minerals deal with Ukraine. And if that happens, that's just another building block in the road to the future peace deal. Transgender stuff, of course, he mentioned that, talking about, this is an 80-20 issue. 80% of Americans agree biological males should not be in female sports, but Democrats are still clinging to it. Some of them have admitted, all right, we're not, a lot of them try and downplay it by saying it's like only 10 women or whatever, but there's stories. We got another story with a track athlete where Trump was talking about beat the world record by 5 hours. This is, it's insane. This is a male, of course. There's a massive advantage. Doesn't matter what kind of hormones you're on in terms of estrogen. It's still a built-in advantage being born a male. But everybody knows that. So that's why Trump's going to keep harping on it. It's such a winning issue. Zelensky, he talked about Zelensky saying he wants to do the minerals deal. Term limit, the idea here would be Trump would hint at running for a third term, which didn't happen. I don't think anyone really thought it was going to happen. Inflation 10 times, I guess that didn't win. DEI, he talked about, of course, talked about getting rid of DEI. Peace 10 times, I guess that didn't hit. Million 10 times, that hit. You can see all of these. Canada, yeah, but again, he didn't really talk about the Canadian tariff situation that just happened. I think the administration is trying to show the American people that Canada does tariff the United States, and these are more so like reciprocal tariffs onto Canada, and then Canada saying, now we're going to tariff you again, but they already have tariffs on us. But look, I think it's just to gain leverage in a trade renegotiation with Canada and Mexico. That would be my opinion on that. But who knows with the 51st state, although he did not mention, the 51st state when it comes to Canada. AI, he did mention the open AI deal, the $500 billion deal, kind of bragging about the domestic investment that he's received. It's not just that, it's also the semiconductors he talked about as well. Of course, he highlighted Elon Musk. Musk was there a few different times. Musk got applause with the Department of Government Efficiency, and he rattled off all the crazy stuff that they were spending money on. And that's kind of what I envisioned exactly with the Department of Government Efficiency, because you knew there was going to be crazy stuff that you could talk about in terms of just the ridiculousness of some of this spending, just with how exorbitant the United States budget is in general. Elon and Musk, of course, is going to be there. Greenland, how about him mentioning Greenland? Yeah, so he came out, it was towards the end of the speech, he said, we hope the people of Greenland would vote to join the United States. But then he said, we're going to do it the easy way or the hard way. He said it's going to happen. So we'll see with Greenland. It's interesting, though, he highlights it. He highlights the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal, we may have somehow downgraded the Panama Canal. I don't know if people have heard. I was all bought into the Panama Canal on what Trump was doing to it. But it's like BlackRock now has purchased both the ports. So here's the story on the Panama Canal. China, utilizing their soft power, was in some ways monitoring the passage through the canal. It's like 72% of the ships that go through the Panama Canal are U.S. ships. So you can monitor the supply of U.S. ships because they had both. Technically, the canal is not owned by China. It's not like Panama sold it to them, but they own important ports surrounding the canal. So then Rubio visits Panama and says, this has to stop now or else. And so Panama had a diplomatic relationship with China to where they recognized Taiwan as part of China. Like they were in bed with China. And Rubio's like, this needs to stop. And so they're like, all right, it's going to stop. They rip up the diplomatic relationship. But now BlackRock invests $23 billion to buy both the ports. I mean, you just got to laugh. He mentioned Putin, I guess, very briefly, probably during the potential peace talks when he was talking about Ukraine and Russia. No talk of ceasefire, no talk of Hamas, the mineral deal with Zelensky, no talk of unemployment. He did not say retard. And then the Gulf of America, he did mention that as well, very briefly. Which, by the way, it's funny, you look at opinion polls, Gulf of America, I guess, is not that it matters, it's such a meaningless thing. But it's not necessarily popular with the American people. It'll be more popular when we're able to do offshore drilling because Trump changed the name of it because Biden made it to where you couldn't do offshore drilling within the Gulf of Mexico, but Trump changed the name to the Gulf of America. Doing drilling there, I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, so listen, it's a good speech for Trump. You look at the opinion polls, they all say CNN, CBS, these are liberal pollsters. It's about 70%, 75% approval rating. That's with all the liberals hating Trump. And so it was a more positive type speech. There was a lot of highlighting stories, important stories within America, a lot of common folk, people like that. And that's what a lot of the speech was. And so it's a good start for Trump when it comes to an address to the nation, his first one here in his second term. So guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.